I couldn't help but wonder, what if the perfect guy finally shows up in your 30s, only to reveal he's carrying baggage big enough to fill a private jet, and the real question isn't, is he the one? But, am I ready for someone who's already been someone else's everything? It started with a text from my old friend Julia, popping up on a rainy Tuesday afternoon as I sat in my Lower East Side apartment, nursing a lukewarm coffee and scrolling through yet another dating app profile that screamed red flag in disguise. The message was simple: wedding invite incoming, save the date. Attached was a photo of her engagement ring, sparkling like it had Julia, the last of my college crew, still single or so I thought, had finally joined the club. The married club. The one where weekends meant brunches with in-laws and conversations about mortgage rates, not late-night bar hops or spontaneous trips to the Hamptons. I replied with the obligatory heart emojis and so happy for you. But inside, the question swirled. Why her and not me? Was I the last one standing in this endless game of romantic roulette? And if everyone else had found their seat, what did that say about me? My name is Sophia, and in my 30s, dating in New York feels less like an adventure and more like a survival sport. The pool has shrunk to a puddle. Married friends who set you up with their nice but divorced colleagues. Traumatized exes who carry baggage heavier than a Louis Vuitton trunk. Or the rare single guy who seems perfect until he is not. But let's rewind to how I got here, to the twist that left me questioning if love in this decade is a myth or just bad luck. It all kicked off last spring when I matched with Marcus on an app. He was 35, a finance consultant with a profile pic that showed him hiking in the Catskills. Rugged jawline, dark curly hair, green eyes that promised depth. His bio: looking for someone to share sunsets and bad jokes with. No games, just real. I swiped right, thinking finally someone normal. Our first date was at a cozy wine bar in Nolita. He arrived on time, dressed in a crisp button-down and jeans, waiting with a glass of red already ordered. Cabernet? You mentioned it in your bio. Attentive, charming. We talked for hours about his love for photography, my passion for curating art exhibits as a freelance curator, and the city's hidden gems. The spark was there. Easy laughter, lingering looks. I left feeling hopeful. Was this the one who slipped through the cracks of the 30s dating wasteland? The early weeks were a whirlwind. He texted consistently but not overwhelmingly. Planned dates that felt thoughtful. A gallery crawl in Chelsea. A picnic in Prospect Park. No red flags, no ghosting. Just steady progress. My friends were thrilled. Over brunch at our favorite spot in the village, I spilled the details to Lila, Nora, and Theo, my core group. The ones who had seen me through too many bad dates. Lila, the eternal optimist with her pixie cut and vibrant energy, clapped. Finally, he sounds normal. No trauma dump on date one? Nora, the skeptic with long black hair and a lawyer's sharp mind, raised an eyebrow. Too good to be true? What's his story? Divorced? Kids? Theo, our guy friend with the dry humor and perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, leaned back. As long as he's not married. In this city, everyone's either taken or terrified. I laughed. No ring, no kids. He's been single for 2 years after a long-term thing ended amicably. Seems healthy. They toasted me. For the first time in years, dating felt easy. But the first twist came on our 1-month mark. We were at his place in Brooklyn Heights, a sleek loft with floor-to-ceiling windows and modern art on the walls. Dinner was takeout Thai, wine flowing. He opened up about his ex. She was great, but we grew apart. No drama. Then he asked about mine. I shared lightly about a few from my 20s. The musician who ghosted, the banker who was all ambition, no heart. He listened, nodded. Sounds like you've been through it. This city's brutal. It felt connecting. But later, as we kissed on the couch, he pulled back. I want to take this slow. I'm not ready to rush. I smiled, but inside the question started. Slow? After a month of steady dates? Was he traumatized from his past or just not that into me? Back then, I thought it was mature. Now I wonder, was slow code for something else? The pattern emerged slowly. Dates were great, but he canceled twice. Work emergencies, he said. Texts slowed on weekends. My friends dissected over wine. Lila. Give him space. He's probably just busy. Nora. Or traumatized. Everyone in their 30s has scars. Theo. Watch for patterns. If he's pulling back, don't chase. I did not chase. But the doubt grew. Was this the new normal? Dating someone who carries invisible wounds from past loves? Month 3 brought the drama. We planned a weekend getaway to the Finger Lakes, wine tasting, and a cozy cabin. The day before, he called. I can't. Family thing came up. Vague. I pushed. What thing? He hedged. Just stuff. Sorry. I hung up, fuming. Friends emergency meet at my place. Lila. Reschedule. He's worth it. Nora. Sounds like avoidance. Traumatized much? Theo. Or married. Check his socials. I did. Clean. But the seed was planted. The twist hit when I surprised him at his office with lunch. His assistant let me in. On his desk, a photo of him with a woman, arms around each other. Recent. Confrontation that night. Who is she? He sighed. My ex. We're talking. I thought I was ready for something new, but I'm not over it. Traumatized. Or just dishonest. The fight escalated. Me accusing him of leading me on, him defending his process. It ended with me walking out. Friends postmortem. Lila, his loss. Nora, classic 30s mess. Theo, everyone's got baggage. But the questions lingered. Is this dating now? Sifting through the married, the traumatized, the both? The cliffhanger came weeks later. A text from Marcus. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I stared at my phone in the middle of a crowded subway car, the words glowing like a lifeline I was not sure I wanted to grab. 3 weeks had passed since I walked out of his apartment, heart pounding with a mix of anger and relief. I had thrown myself into work, curating a pop-up exhibit for emerging street artists in Bushwick, filling my days with color palettes and installation logistics. Nights were harder, wine with friends, scrolling through apps that promised better matches. Wondering if the 30s dating pool was just a series of echoes from everyone's past lives. The text arrived as I headed home from a late meeting. I typed back, when and where. No games this time. If he wanted to talk, I would listen. But I would not chase. We met 2 days later at a neutral spot, a quiet park bench in Tompkins Square Park, the kind where dog walkers and joggers provided just enough background noise to soften the tension. He arrived looking tired but handsome, dark curls tousled by the wind, green eyes searching mine as he sat down with 2 coffees in hand. Black 2 sugars, he said, handing me one. I remembered. I took it, nodding. Thanks. So, talk. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I messed up. Not telling you about still talking to my ex? That was wrong. I thought I was over her, but seeing you made me realize I want something real. With you. I'm done with the past. I searched his face. Why the vagueness? The cancellations? If you're not ready, say it. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I am ready. I was scared. My last relationship ended badly. She left because of my work hours. I didn't want to drag you into that. But I'm all in now. Let me prove it. The sincerity in his voice pulled at me. I had missed him, the easy conversations, the way he made the city feel less lonely. Against my better judgment, I agreed to give it another shot. Slow though. No more secrets. He smiled, relieved. Deal. The next weeks felt like a reset. He showed up fully. Flowers at my door, weekend plans he stuck to. Deep talks about our pasts. I opened up about my small-town roots. The string of 20s almost relationships that left me guarded. He shared more about his ex, a 5-year thing that ended in mutual burnout, no kids, no messy divorce. Just 2 people who grew apart. It felt honest. My friends were cautiously optimistic. Over drinks at a rooftop bar in Williamsburg, I updated Lila, Nora, and Theo. Lila twirled her glass. He sounds redeemed. Everyone deserves a second chance. Nora crossed her arms. Watch for patterns. 30s dating is full of "I'm ready now" guys who aren't. Theo grinned. As long as he's not secretly married. But seriously, if he's consistent, go for it. I laughed. But the doubt lingered. Was consistency enough, or was I ignoring subtle signs? Month 4 brought the glow. We spent a weekend in the Hamptons at his friend's house, with beach walks, bonfires, lazy mornings. No drama. Back in the city, he met my friends at a group dinner. Charmed them all. Lila whispered, "Keep her." Even Nora softened. "He seems solid." But the first twist crept in subtly. During a quiet night at my place, cooking pasta together, his phone buzzed repeatedly. He silenced it. "Work," he said. I nodded. But later, when he stepped out for a call, I glimpsed the screen. X. My stomach dropped. Was he still talking to her? I confronted him gently. "Everything okay?" He sighed. "Yeah, she's going through stuff. Just checking in as friends." "Friends?" I echoed. "After you said you were done?" "It's nothing romantic. Promise." I let it go, but the questions started. Was this the trauma talking or a lie? In 30s dating, everyone has exes. But when does friends cross into territory? The pattern is built. More calls he took in another room. Vague explanations. Old stuff. My friends weighed in over coffee. Lila. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Nora. Red flag. Demand transparency. Theo. Talk it out. Don't assume. I did. Over dinner at a tiny French bistro in the West Village, I asked point blank, "What's going on with your ex?" He set down his fork. "She's pregnant. Not mine. But she's alone. And I feel responsible as a friend." The revelation hit like cold water. Pregnant? Alone? He explained, "They broke up before us, but she confided in him recently." No romance, just support. I absorbed it. Why not tell me sooner? I didn't want to scare you off. 30s dating is hard enough. I nodded. But inside, was this kindness, or a sign he was still tied to his past? We moved on, but the doubt seeded. Month 5 deepened the connection and the complications. He introduced me to his friends at a barbecue in Prospect Park. They were welcoming, but one pulled me aside. "Marcus has been through hell with his ex. Be patient." Patient? For what? That night, back at his loft, I asked. He opened up. The ex had cheated, left him devastated 2 years ago. "I'm over it, but sometimes it lingers." Trauma. The word hung. I sympathized, shared my own scars. But now I wondered, in 30s dating, is everyone just patching wounds with new people? The big twist came on a romantic evening he planned. Dinner at Gramercy Tavern, then a walk through Union Square. Over dessert, he took my hand. "I'm falling for you, Sophia. For real." My heart raced. Me too. But as we walked, his phone rang. He answered, face paling. "What? Now?" He hung up. "My ex?" "She's in labor. Alone. I have to go." "Labor? Alone?" He explained. The baby's father bailed. She called him as her emergency contact. I froze. "Go. But this is a lot." He kissed me. "I'll explain later. Promise." He left. I walked home alone. Questions swirling. Was he still her safety net? In 30s dating, is baggage inevitable? Or was this the sign to bail? The cliffhanger hit the next morning. A text from him. "Baby's here. Healthy boy. But there's something I need to tell you." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. My apartment was quiet except for the low hum of the city outside, traffic and distant sirens blending into the familiar soundtrack of New York waking up. I had barely slept, replaying the night before. Marcus rushing out of the restaurant, his face pale, the way he kissed me quickly before disappearing into a cab. I had walked home alone, the cool air sharp against my skin, questions piling up like unpaid bills. Now this, a baby, healthy boy. And, but, that felt heavier than the rest of the sentence combined. I typed back, "Congratulations. What is it?" His reply came fast. Can we meet? In person. Today. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to say no, to protect the fragile hope I had rebuilt over the past weeks. Another part, the part that had spent years in this city learning to face uncomfortable truths, knew running would only delay the inevitable. I sent. My place, noon. He arrived exactly on time, holding a paper bag from the bakery down the block. Croissants and coffee, the same order he used to bring on lazy Sundays. He looked exhausted, with dark circles under his green eyes and curls more chaotic than usual. We sat on the couch, the same spot where we had kissed and laughed and started rebuilding trust. He set the bag down without opening it. I should have told you sooner. I nodded, waiting. The baby is mine, he said quietly. Not biologically, but legally. I'm on the birth certificate. I agreed to be the father when she told me she was pregnant. The room tilted. You, what? He exhaled. We broke up 2 years ago. She moved on, met someone. When she found out she was pregnant, the guy left. She panicked. I was still her emergency contact, still the person she called when things fell apart. She asked me to step in. I said yes. I thought I could be there for the kid without being with her. I thought I was ready to move on with you. I felt the air leave my lungs. You thought you were ready? You let me fall for you while you were signing up to be a dad with your ex? He looked down at his hands. I told myself it would not affect us. I thought I could compartmentalize. Be the friend who supports, not the partner who stays. I was wrong. The silence stretched. I thought about the canceled plans, the vague family things, the way he always took calls in another room. Everything clicked into place, sharp and painful. So all those times you pulled back, it was guilt? Or fear I would leave if I knew? Both, he admitted. I wanted to tell you. Every time I opened my mouth I pictured you walking away. And I could not lose you again. I stood up, pacing to the window. The city sprawled below, indifferent to the small dramas playing out in its apartments. People rushed to meetings, pushed strollers and held hands. Normal life. I turned back to him. Do you love her? No, he said firmly. Not like that. I love the idea of being a dad. I love that I can give this kid stability. But I am not in love with her. I am in love with you. The words hung there, heavy and hopeful. I wanted to believe them. I wanted to believe that in this city, where everyone carries scars from past loves, we could build something new. But the questions kept coming. How do you love someone who is tied to his ex forever? How do you trust that his heart is fully yours when part of him will always belong to a child that is not yours? In your 30s, is love supposed to be this complicated? Or are we just collecting everyone's leftovers, trying to make a meal out of fragments? I sat back down. What does this mean for us? He looked at me, eyes pleading. It means I want you in my life, in his life. I know it is a lot. I know it is not what you pictured, but I am asking you to consider it. To consider me. I thought about Julia's wedding invite. I thought about the friends who had found their people, who had settled into lives that looked stable from the outside. I thought about my own 20s, the men I had pushed away because I was afraid of losing myself. I thought about how adulthood in this city means learning that love rarely arrives clean. It comes with history, with responsibilities, with choices that feel impossible. I took a deep breath. I need time. I need to think. He nodded, understanding. Take all the time you need. I will be here. He left, the door clicking softly behind him. I sat on the couch, coffee untouched, staring at the city through the window. The questions did not stop. Could I love someone who already had a family, even if it was not the traditional kind? Could I step into a life where I was not the first priority, where weekends might mean diaper changes instead of spontaneous trips? In a city that celebrates independence, was choosing a complicated love is a sign of strength or surrender? I thought about my 20s again. The men I had tested, the ones I had pushed away because I was not ready. I thought about how those experiences taught me what I did not want: games, distance, and fear. But they also taught me what I did want: honesty, vulnerability, partnership. Marcus was offering that in his messy, imperfect way. Was I brave enough to accept it? The days that followed were a blur of reflection. I talked to my friends over late-night wine. Lila, it is a lot. But if you love him, maybe it is worth it. Nora, be careful. Step-parenting is hard. Make sure he is worth the sacrifice. Theo, you have grown so much. Trust your gut. Whatever you choose, it will be right for who you are now. I walked the city alone, past the places we had been together. The wine bar in Nolita, the park bench in Tompkins Square, the loft in Brooklyn Heights. Each spot held a memory, a question. Was this love? Or was this settling? In your 30s, is the choice between perfect and real the hardest one of all? A week later, I texted him. I am ready to talk. He came over that night. We sat on the couch, the same spot where everything had unraveled and begun again. I looked at him, really looked, and saw the man who had made mistakes but was trying to fix them. The man who was scared but honest. The man who wanted me, baggage and all. I am in, I said. But we do this right, no secrets. No rushing. And we talk about everything. He smiled, tears in his eyes. Everything. We kissed, slow and careful, like we were sealing a promise. But as his arms wrapped around me, one final question whispered in my mind. In a city that promises everything, can love really be enough when it comes with someone else's history? The question lingered long after Marcus left my apartment that night. We had kissed, sealed our tentative promise to try again. But as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the whisper grew louder. New York had always been my dream. The endless energy, the chance encounters, the feeling that anything could happen. But in your 30s, anything starts to include complications like this. A man you care about stepping into fatherhood with his ex, while you stand on the sidelines wondering if there is room for you in the picture. Adulthood in this city means navigating not just your own baggage, but everyone else's too. And sometimes the weight feels too heavy to carry alone. The next few weeks were a test of that promise. We stuck to slow, coffee dates instead of overnights, texts that built anticipation without pressure. He updated me on the baby, a boy named Leo, healthy and tiny, with his mother's eyes. Marcus visited the hospital daily, but he made time for us too. One evening, we met at a quiet cafe in the village, the kind with worn wooden tables and the smell of fresh pastries. He showed me a photo on his phone, Leo swaddled in blue, tiny fists clenched. He's perfect, Marcus said, his voice soft with awe. I smiled, but inside the question stirred. Could I love this child too? Or would he always feel like a reminder of Marcus's past, a life I was not part of? In a city where independence is a badge of honor, was I ready to share someone I had just started to claim as my own? We talked about it openly, or so I thought. I want you to be part of this, he said, reaching for my hand across the table. But only if you're ready. No rush. I nodded. I'm trying. It's a lot to process. He squeezed my hand. I know. Thank you for giving me this chance. The days turned into a delicate balance. Work kept me busy, curating an exhibit on urban street art, sourcing pieces from local talents, losing myself in the colors and stories on canvas. It was a welcome distraction from the growing unease. My friends became my sounding board. Over wine at Nora's apartment in the Upper East Side, I laid it all out. Lila swirled her glass. A baby? That's huge. But if you love him, maybe it's a package deal worth embracing. Nora leaned forward, her lawyer instincts kicking in. Be practical. Legal father means responsibilities, visits, support, co-parenting with the ex. Are you ready for that drama? Theo chuckled. In this city, everyone's got ex-drama. But kids? That's next level. Make sure you're not signing up for someone else's life. I sipped my wine. That's what scares me. I love my independence, my career, spontaneous trips. A baby changes everything. Lila tilted her head. But maybe for the better. Adulthood here means compromise. No one gets the fairy tale without strings. We debated late into the night, their words echoing my own doubts. Was compromise the mark of maturity or surrender? In a city that glorifies solo success, power lunches, rooftop parties, Endless reinvention. Was building a blended family just another way to grow, or a trap that clipped your wings? Marcus and I pushed forward. A month after Leo's birth, he invited me to meet the baby at his ex's apartment in Park Slope, a neutral, supervised visit. I agreed, nerves twisting. The place was cozy, filled with baby gear and the faint scent of powder. His ex, Emma, was exhausted but kind, holding Leo in her arms. "Thanks for coming," she said, handing him to Marcus. He cradled the tiny bundle with such tenderness it melted something in me. "Want to hold him?" he asked. I did. Leo's weight was light, his tiny fingers wrapping around mine. For a moment the questions quieted. This could work. This could be beautiful. But the twist came that evening. Back at my place, Marcus sat me down. "There's more. Emma wants me involved full-time. Co-parenting. Shared custody." I froze. "As in, living arrangements? Weekends with you?" He nodded. "It's what's best for Leo, but I want you in it too. We can make this work." The room spun. Shared custody? His life split between me and his ex's world? The questions exploded. Could I share him like that? In a city where time is the ultimate luxury, was I willing to give up spontaneous nights for scheduled visits? Adulthood means choices, but was this one I could live with? I took a week to think. Walked the city alone, from the High Line to Central Park, reflecting on how New York shapes us. In your 20s, it's all possibility, endless dates, no strings. 30s? Reality bites. Careers demand focus. Friends scatter to suburbs. Love comes with footnotes. Was I holding out for perfect or afraid of real? The drama peaked when Emma texted me directly. "Marcus cares about you. But Leo needs him. Be sure before you pull him in two directions." Pull him? The implication stung. Was I the intruder? The questions raged. In blended families, where do you fit when you are not the parent? Could love stretch that far? I met Marcus at a bench in Washington Square Park. Leaves were falling in slow spirals. The air crisp with that early autumn bite that makes New York feel both alive and slightly melancholy. The fountain sprayed in the background, children laughed, and a street musician strummed a gentle acoustic guitar. It should have felt peaceful. Instead, everything inside me felt like it was holding its breath. I sat down beside him. He looked up, hopeful, the same green eyes that had once made my stomach flip now carrying a quiet desperation. I had rehearsed the words on the walkover, but they still felt heavy on my tongue. "I can't," I said. He blinked as if the words had not quite landed. "You can't what?" "I can't do this. I want to. God, Marcus, I want to so much. But this is too much. I'm not ready for that life." His face crumpled, just for a second, before he steadied himself. "I thought we could figure it out. Together. Maybe in time, but not now." The silence stretched between us, thick and painful. I could see the exact moment he understood. This was not a pause. This was an ending. He looked away toward the fountain. "I get it, I do, it's a lot. I should have told you sooner." "You should have," I agreed, my voice softer than I intended. "But even if you had, I don't know if I could have handled it." "Not yet," he nodded slowly. "I'm sorry for putting you in this position." We sat there for a while, the city moving around us like it always does. People rushing to meetings, dogs chasing pigeons, tourists taking photos. Life kept going, indifferent to the small heartbreak unfolding on a park bench. Finally, I stood. I should go. He stood too. We hugged goodbye, long and tight, tears slipping down both our faces. He smelled like cedar and coffee, the same way he always did. I let go first. He walked one way. I walked the other. The city felt lonelier that night, but freer too. I did not go straight home. I wandered instead, past the Arch, down Bleecker Street, through Washington Square north. The streets were alive with people laughing, holding hands, arguing, and kissing. Normal life. My life before Marcus turned it into something bigger than I was ready for. I ended up at Lila's apartment in the West Village. She opened the door in sweatpants and a messy bun, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside without a word. Nora and Theo were already there, wine open, takeout boxes scattered across the coffee table. They had texted earlier, sensing something was off. I collapsed onto the couch. "Tell us," Nora said, pouring me a glass. I told them everything. The baby. The legal fatherhood. The co-parenting demands. The way Marcus had looked at me like I was the only thing that could save him from his own choices. The way I had looked at him and realized I could not. Lila listened quietly, then spoke first. "You did the right thing. That's not just baggage. That's a whole separate life. You would have been the third wheel in your own relationship." Nora nodded. "Exactly. You would have spent weekends waiting for him to come back from Emma's, wondering if he was thinking about her when he was with you. That's not love. That's emotional limbo." Theo leaned back, arms crossed. "I hate to say it, but I saw this coming. He was never fully yours. He was split from the start. You deserve someone who chooses you first. Every time." I sipped my wine, the warmth spreading through my chest. "I know, but it still hurts. I thought we could make it work. I thought love was supposed to be messy and complicated in your 30s. "It is," Lila said gently. "But it's not supposed to feel like you're auditioning for a role in someone else's family. You're not a supporting character. You're the lead in your own story." We talked late into the night, dissecting every moment, every doubt. They reminded me of the woman I had become, independent, creative, unafraid to walk away from what did not serve me. They reminded me that choosing myself was not selfish, it was survival. The next few days were quiet. I took long walks through the city past the places we had been together. The wine bar in Nolita, where we first kissed. The park bench in Tompkins Square, where we had first tried to rebuild. The loft in Brooklyn Heights, where I had once felt safe. Each spot held a memory, and each memory now carried a question. Could I have stayed? Could I have loved him enough to share him? Or was leaving the only way to keep my own heart intact? I thought about my 20s again. The men I had tested. The ones I had pushed away because I was afraid of losing myself. I thought about how those experiences taught me what I did not want: games, distance, and fear. But they also taught me what I did want: honesty, vulnerability, partnership. Marcus had offered that, in his messy, imperfect way. But the cost was too high. Adulthood in this city means learning that love rarely arrives clean. It comes with history, with responsibilities, with choices that feel impossible. I thought about my lifestyle. The late nights working on exhibits, the spontaneous trips to galleries, the freedom to say yes to last-minute drinks with friends. I thought about how someone else's child would change that. Weekends would no longer be mine. Plans would need coordination. My independence, the thing I had fought so hard for, would have to bend. And I was not ready to bend that far. Not yet, maybe not ever. The decision settled slowly, like dust after a storm. I loved him, I really did. But love alone was not enough when it came with someone else's history, someone else's future. I could not be the woman who waited in the wings while he built a life with his ex. I could not be the third wheel in my own relationship. I texted him one last time. "I've thought about it. I can't. I'm sorry. I wish you and Leo all the happiness in the world." He replied almost immediately. "I understand. Thank you for trying. Take care of yourself, Sophia." And that was it. No dramatic scene. No final fight. Just two people who loved each other but could not make the pieces fit. The city felt lonelier that night. But freer too. I walked to the river, stood at the edge of the Hudson, watching the lights reflect on the water. New York stretched out in front of me, endless and indifferent. I thought about all the times I had stood in this same spot, wondering if love would ever find me. Now I knew it had. And I had let it go, not because I did not want it, but because I wanted something more, something that fits. Something that did not require me to shrink. In a city that promises everything, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from almost everything. Because almost is not enough. And just like that, I was alone again. But this time I was not afraid. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories here.